Oh, well, that we shall do that because that was quite obvious that I just thank you very much. Didn't quite make that entrance the way I wanted to, but then I haven't done all weekend. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Monday, the 6th of November. Can you believe we are 8 weeks less than from Christmas? Good morning, Maria. I'm not going to continue without just saying good morning.
Morning, lovely.
Morning again. Morning again. It's like deja vu, isn't it? Good morning. It's lovely to see the people that are here, and it's lovely to see everybody on StreamYard and everywhere else that we are. Let me just make sure that I am doing exactly what I think I should be doing. Yes, I am. I am where I think I am. I am everywhere, all at once, all the time. So, this morning, I have decided. Good morning, James, to talk about flexibility. And I know it's only a couple of minutes past 6, and that people will be coming in, and we're an hour away from talking with Pete on LinkedIn, and we're going to be talking about how to be Nelson Mandela, aren't we, at 7 o'clock? But I want to talk about flexibility. The reason I want to talk about flexibility this week is because at the weekend I lost my keys. In fact, I lost my keys on Friday, and it impacted on my Saturday, which meant that when it came to Saturday morning, when I was meant to, I wanted to be presenting on LinkedIn, that wasn't able to happen. And I had to make changes to my weekend. And indeed, I've had to change the very next 3 days. Um, and last night, I also had to go out. I went out for a 50th birthday party. Sounds fun, doesn't it? But the idea of going out for me is very, very challenging. I had to drive into town. Now, when I drove into town, I had to decide where I was going to be able to park. For those that don't know, I'm Mandy-Jayne, and I am a wheelchair user, and I move through the world using a wheelchair, either a 4x4 wheelchair, my other electric wheelchair, or a manual chair. Last night I went in my small electric wheelchair because I knew I was going to go into small spaces out for a party in Cardiff city centre. So I drove into town and I parked up. But the only double yellows I could get onto were the back of a double yellows, and I was slightly onto the double yellows behind me, where there was a flash on the pavement, which means you can't be there. But it was the only place I could get. I had to go up a one-way street actually to get there, and I was directed by a road traffic officer who told me where to go and find the disabled parking. So I did. When I got to the event, I realised I couldn't get in. There was no ramp. And when I asked them, somebody did come to the door. They didn't have a ramp, so I asked whether they could help me get my ramp from the van, which was luckily only round the corner. Even though, of course, that place wasn't really for me. It was just double yellows where I was parked, hopefully at the back of the parking bay. Well, that lady didn't manage to come out of the venue for a good while, but a homeless guy who was in Tesco, just outside Tesco, offered to come and help. So I couldn't get in, but the homeless guy from next door offered to help. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's a bit dodgy. Which, of course, it is. But there's not a great deal I can do. But he seemed completely genuine. And he came round the corner to the van. Again, sounds a bit dodgy. But I think we just have to know about flexibility and connection in this regard. And he got the ramp out and helped me into the venue. Now, next, once I'd gone into the venue and waited for my friends, and we'd had an hour or so together, I really did need the loo, and of course there wasn't one. The toilet that was there was up some stairs, just like the entrance. So I reversed out of the venue because I could get down the step, just not up the step. Left my ramp inside and went to McDonald's to use their toilet. And I felt I had to buy some French fries whilst I was there, so took those back to the table. And when I came out again of McDonald's, of course, I got back to the venue, which I couldn't get back in. But the nice man who I'd given £5 to then ran from Tesco, ran into the venue, got my ramp, brought it out, and in I got again. So the next place that we went to, which we managed to say goodbye and explained about the Disability Discrimination Act and the fact that it would be a good idea if they could get a ramp like the one that I showcased, and everybody had a lovely time and we left. Now the next place was easier. I could get straight in and out, and there was a dance floor. It's called Main Stage. Now, I don't want you to go and look yet, but after this room, believe me, I think you'll all, for the first time in your lives, be going to Main Stage in Cardiff, because I'm afraid I made my debut. Not that I had a choice. You'll have heard when you first came in the song "I'm Still Standing," and the young lady that was doing the show, it was a drag act, and I have to say that genre of performance always enthralls me. She sits on a chair and does a song. I'm Still Standing, would you believe? And I was going over to the bar because I just thought to myself, do you know, it's a bit uncomfortable. It was awkward getting in. It was awkward coming here. I've had to bring the ramp. I've had to kind of get some help. It's not that good. And I'd decided at that point I really wouldn't, and didn't choose to be having a drink, as it really doesn't serve me for this week. But I wanted to have some fun. So when we got to the next event and the next venue, and there was a dance floor, and I got in and we'd settled, I thought, you know, I'm going to go and get myself a ginger beer just to push the boat out. And as I was passing the main stage and going to the bar, I'd had a little dance with my friend, my friend whose birthday it was, in front of the act, and I saw that she was watching, because it's unusual seeing a lady dance in a wheelchair. But I do love dancing, and I'm usually first on the dance floor. And I decided that, in spite of the fact that I hadn't had a drink and everybody was letting their hair down and they were all whooping and all the rest, that I could actually just enjoy myself and dance like nobody was there. Okay. So I did. And then as a result, she called me over. So she said, "Hey, hey," and I turned around. Me, yes. And she called me over, and I went to sit next to her in front of the stage, at which she said, "I'm doing a song which I never stand up for. Are you up for a laugh?" And I said, "Absolutely." And she said, "Well, the good thing is," I said, what have I offered now? What have I invited you to do to me?" And she said, "Well, the good thing is I'm going to let you leave your clothes on," which was nice. I know it's a Monday morning, but she said I could leave my clothes on, which was nice. And that feeling when I got to the front of the room was one of a little bit of horror, a little bit of fear, and a little bit of what the hell was next. So the song "I'm Still Standing," where this lady was sitting on a chair and somebody was behind her, and they pushed her from one end of the club to the other on the chair. I'm still standing, but sitting down. And I think she saw an opportunity in that I was up for a laugh. I didn't mind moving my chair, and this could be a bit of a show. So we did. We did a bit of a duet, really, where she was being pushed one end of the room to the other, and myself and the friend that I went to have the birthday with came behind my chair, and we pretended she was pushing me. So I believe that when I got the call at the front of that room, I made connection. And I made that connection through flexibility, through adaptability, and resilience and accessibility. Now, I think that flexibility, in fact, we know flexibility fosters resilience, whether that's through physical or mental or situational interpretations, right? I mean, physical for me is where our motions, the motion of our joints, the length of our muscles bend to keep us flexible. Well, without snapping, unless you don't warm up, I guess. So you're stretching those muscles and making more room, more capability, more capacity to go further. Physical flexibility, that's what physical flexibility is. Mental flexibility, the thing I had to do to get to park, to get into the venue, to manage to get the ramp, to coordinate the homeless man to help me, to pay him, to get him back to right. That's the mental capacity to shift through our thoughts Friday night when I lost my keys and had to adapt on Saturday morning not to do my belonging in business on LinkedIn and adapt our behaviours to meet the demand of my environment in that regard. Pivoting. In fact, probably pivoting faster than I will when I'm a politician and my polls are down. But that won't happen, right? So I won't need to pivot. But that mental flexibility, I've realised, is that capacity to shift through thoughts and adapt behaviours. And then that leads, of course, to that situational flexibility, which is the life that I lead. Adapting to those circumstances in life, as in last night, or on Friday, or in work, that, those curveballs that life throws, because they do. But I've realised that when plan A falls apart, I'm already on plan B or C or D or whatever you think it's got to be. I think it's the art of bending without breaking. And for somebody with hyperflexive joints, that's interesting. That I have to be bendier than a bendy thing from Bendyland so that I don't break. Be it my beliefs or my body, of course, when I'm exercising, or the plans that I have. It is, for me, flexibility, survival of the most adaptable. And I am indeed still standing. However you think about me and standing, I need to become the most responsive to change. Because I believe truly that flexibility is life's universal cheat code. So what did I do? Well, I decided not to drink, even though it was a 50th birthday party and everyone else was letting their hair down. But I did. I did let my hair down. I got onto the dance floor. I pulled my friend to the dance floor and I danced with her. With her. I was present for her birthday. We had a fantastic time. And as a result, I then went to the bar myself. And as I did, well, it's either Miss Kitty, I don't know. It was either Miss Kitty or Gigi or Etta Buffet. Called me up. You can go and look for yourself at Main Stage in Cardiff. Remembering that night was for fun and games and cabaret. So I knew it was for fun and games. She asked me if I was up for a laugh. I'd already danced and she'd watched me from the stage. I'm still standing with the song and I am still standing. And I believe that I'm still standing metaphorically on my backside because I am flexible. I have been able to pivot. When in COVID I died, double pneumonia, double pleurisy, and 19 weeks intubated in York District General. And everything I had to be sold apart from the house. So all of the business buildings, the 25 staff I had, everything had to be dismantled in my absence. Well, if it hadn't been for being flexible when I awoke from that horror, then I don't think I would be where I am now. And Reginald Perrin, if anyone ever watched that in the 80s, used to say in the made-up film, the made-up program, I didn't get where I am today without. And I didn't get where I am today without being flexible, responsive, and engaged and in the moment. Because I chose to let go of my fears, I believe that I had an evening that will change my evening. I think that my debut in Main Stage in Cardiff was indicative of the future that is to come. I think I was able to be me. I think I was authentic and I was able to be out there and proud, showing people how it is to be in the built environment and how disabled people still have to be incredibly flexible, amazingly resilient, and we have to do that through the art of negotiation and connection. And I think that you will see if you go and watch that, watch that interaction. That at the end, I think Gigi says that I'm her favourite, and she's coming back next week. Am I coming back next week? And she's coming back next week, but next week she's coming in a flipping tank. Because I beat her around the the club. So I think that flexibility is absolutely key, and I think that we foster belonging through that flexibility and through being able to change and not feel that everything is over just because something has changed. And I did feel a little bit like that on Friday night and Saturday morning, like, oh, what have I done? But actually, nobody cares. And it's just fostering that flexibility in me. And the more I do it, the more I can do it. I didn't used to be able to drive around London. I can now. I didn't used to be able to drive around Cardiff. I can now. Now, I did get a parking ticket last night. And the flexibility I have to see is that when I argue that parking ticket, I'll be moving things forward for disabled people, because the car behind me that was parked behind me and stopping me from getting into my van, that didn't have a parking ticket. And when I spoke to the police before I was able to get help from people to move my car forward, that was the thing. I then came out, and somebody had parked behind the van, even though, again, it was parked at the back of the parking bay. That meant he was throwing it down with rain, and I had to keep going back into the club and then make a phone call and back out again. So we just kept hearing, and MJ's back in the house. So I made probably 4 or 5 entrances and exits and entrances and exits. And in the end, I think there were 5 lecturers. How many lecturers does it need to move one wheelchair accessible vehicle so that the recipient can get in it? Well, it takes about 5 lecturers, I think, or PhD candidates. And they moved my van forward, letting go of the handbrake so that I could get into the rear of the wheelchair accessible vehicle via the ramp. So, in summary, then, I believe that we need to be flexible. I've had to make changes this weekend. I've had to make changes and connections, and I had to meet people and speak to people and ask for their help through my flexibility, through that adaptability, and through my accessing the built environment. That mental flexibility is just flex. When they say flex, that's what they mean. We have to flex, but flex is through that muscle. That physical flexibility develops that mental flexibility and that situational flexibility that I've been talking about today, where we can adapt our behaviors to meet the demands of our environment. Whether I'm in a club racing up and down with a drag queen, to I'm still standing in our chairs, or whether I am outside in the pouring rain with 3 to 5 PhD lecturers or candidates working out how to move a van in order that I can get into the back of it. It needs situational flexibility, and it also needs that ability to laugh at the situation and watch it develop that observing self. And I have to say that if I can do what we did last night, and I can't wait for you to go and watch it, I think everybody will be on main stage. That's the Instagram main stage in Cardiff page. It was uploaded last night before people went to bed. I didn't think it would be there, but it was this morning. Then I think if we can flexibly adapt to that sort of situation, we can pretty much flexibly adapt to anything. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you want to come up and talk about flexibility. Where have you had to be flexible in your life? And you never know, we might get away with 10 minutes between here and LinkedIn. But if we don't, that's fine too, because frankly, it will be fantastic to talk to people. You are also, for your information, live on Twitch and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere but Instagram, I think, as well as on Clubhouse. So this has been streamed to all and sundry, because I think that Clubhouse is still fantastic. We should encourage people to be flexible about the platforms they use and flexible about where they may express themselves, because I think there's horses and courses and spaces and places for everybody. But that mental flexibility for me has led to this situational flexibility and what I would call having intense flex. So where have you needed to flex, and why, and how has it helped you, and what you're going to do, I guess, to get better at having more flex now and in the future. I can't wait to hear from you. And we've got Marie and Alexia and James and you on the stage. I just want to say good morning to Sam and Naomi. Dale and Louise, Sharon, Bob, Amanda, lovely to see you, and Zara. Do you know, it's lovely to have everybody together on a Monday morning, particularly in readiness for getting flexible this week, because that's definitely what my week's going to be about. I've even got to change my university days this week. On Wednesday, I get the day off. It's called an academic study day. And thank goodness for that, because I have a policy assignment to finish by the end of this week. But I really feel that flexibility is something that the mental health strategy for Wales is fostering, and I'm just talking about that in relation to my policy strategy. And of course, we can't create change unless at the bottom, like I was last night, we are flexible and we will evolve and change and shift and ask for that flex, that flow within the general public to just help out, to just give a hand, just get on with it and give a hand and make that difference, be that difference, take that moment, because that's what happened last night. The flow was achieved, the flexible flow was achieved through the kindness and graciousness of everybody concerned, including myself. So when we have that at the bottom, and then we have policy at the top that looks at how we help people become flexible, and what the Welsh Government have realised, and I'm in Wales, guys. This was Cardiff, of course. It's the main stage, Cardiff. Cardiff and surrounding areas is known for what they deemed was an extensive array of mental health challenges, addiction issues, um, difficulties circumnavigating society and accessing workforce, and what they've suggested now in the Joining the Dots Mental Health Together programme for the next 10 years. Their strategy, according to their policy, is to have joined up, connected, interlinked and non-replicating services that are flexible, adaptable and accessible. So putting the client at the heart of the process. So I believe that my mental flexibility and this flex is going to be for everybody. I think we need an international flex, but we definitely need a UK flex. So how are you flexing, and how are you developing that flexing this week? I'm going to be mainly telling them that I don't want a parking ticket and flexing that and getting it reneged. What are you going to do to flex this week, and how does it affect you? Marie, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, morning, lovely.
Morning.
Yeah. Flexibility. Oh, do you know what? Let's be real. If we weren't flexible around access to work, we'd be stuffed. We'd just be stuffed because we have to work around them. That's the truth, isn't it? That we have to work around their new processes and their new policies and their new procedures. And if we didn't remain flexible and stayed in the same place, where no one had ever get through the access to work application. So flexibility is forced upon us sometimes, and that can be incredibly frustrating. But when you was chatting, MJ, when you were sharing just then, I was sitting here thinking about, wow, how many times have I been flexible in my life? Have I had to move and change and shift and do things differently and accommodate different circumstances? And the answer is, well, every day. That's the truth of it. Every single day. And especially, when you first aim for recovery from addictions, like flexibility is integral, absolutely integral, because there's a lot of old behaviors and there's a lot of old habits and ways of doing things that perhaps don't serve you any longer, and they're advised to get out of your environment, look at the friends that you're around, all of that stuff. And 90 meetings in 90 days, no matter what's going on. And I did that. I had to be flexible, even though I was going through mass detox. Pardon the pun, it's not nice first thing on a Monday morning, but I'd attend meetings even when I shat myself, because I had to be flexible, right? I knew what was good for me. Really, I sit here and think I always know what's the right answer for me. It's whether I'm flexible enough, number one, to listen, and number two is to actually take action. Because, I can be my own worst enemy, and I understand that today. But, you know, habits. I think we're a byproduct of our habits. To be fair, I really do. Like I feel completely different to the way I felt 2 years ago, in that I'm very flexible to change now. But that's been over a period of time of adopting new habits and new ways of working and thinking outside of the box, listening to my intuition, facing what feels scary and just getting it out of the way, all of that sort of stuff. So flexibility isn't just about, moving with change. I believe it's a lot of the time it's about doing what we know is right for us, and that can quite often feel quite scary if we're facing things that perhaps our mind is telling us not to. So I'll be open this week. That's all I can say, is that I'll be open and I'll be willing to do things differently if it's required. And I will always listen to my gut, because I think my gut's always telling me what's the right course of action, even when I'm not listening.
I think my gut now tells me the right course of action. But I'll tell you what, when I was imbibing refined sugar, I do still have some refined sugar, not all the time, but I do still have some. And when I do, I can actually sense, I can experience a limit in my flexibility. And in that, I mean that when I experience the uncomfortable, if I've been eating clean, sleeping well, drinking well, I'm hydrated, my decision making is instant. Last night, I knew exactly what I needed to do to pivot. I knew exactly what I needed to say, and to foster that flexibility from other people. I knew how to achieve that, and I also didn't do it. I wasn't so uncomfortable during it, but I think what I've realized over the last 2 years isn't that I can grow through these things and I'm going through them for me, but that actually they are the point. So I think now I'm at the point where I can look at last night and see that everything in that situation didn't just happen for me. I didn't just grow through it, but actually the very process of accepting it and deciding to make the decisions I made, they will create that flexibility. But you're so right that if I hadn't had all of those non-negotiables, that eating right, the drinking right, I wouldn't have made the decision not to drink last night. I'd have gone with the crowd, and today I'd have had that hangover from hell and not been able to be as flexible as I wanted to today, because I'd have had to flexibly be under my covers. But it was only because of those habits that I've been able to be steadfast in my stamina regarding who and what and how I am. That for me is my identity, and my identity is held is held as a structure, and that structure are my habits and routines and the things I say yes to and the things I say no to. And most of all, what I've realized is that and more and more and more than ever before is when I move through in love. Last night there were many times that I could have, would have, and probably should have at some point got irritable, but it doesn't serve me. And it certainly doesn't foster that flexibility in other people, because that just makes them feel angry and upset. What I managed to do was foster inclusivity by everybody wanting to be part of the solution. Part of the solution to move the van, part of the solution to get me into the built environment, part of the solution to make sure everybody had a good time. And that didn't just foster their flexibility, it fostered mine, because then I was able to be in that space, in that shape, and then even be included in the act. So the fact that they were able to be inclusive, both in the environment and then in the act, I think is great. A great way of reflecting how society needs to reflect society, and how flexibility is key. But the flip side of that, I think, for everybody listening today, are those non-negotiables, those key deliverables, if you'd say in business, those things that we really, there's just no option if we want a truly strong and sturdy sense of self-identity, or be that even our business identity, or as we're talking about in half an hour, our charity identity, or that of our family. And in half an hour, we're going to be talking with Pete on LinkedIn about how to be Nelson Mandela, and we're going to be talking about our incredible story of the farm in Uganda. And if you don't know that story, come over at 7 o'clock with us. We're going to be doing a mass exit and a mass entrance into LinkedIn, just to make sure that we get into our Mindset Monday and move forward flexibly and fearlessly into this week. Alexia, a wonderful one. You have to be flexible, don't you?
Well, let's put it this way, my friend. I needed my 2 flexible friends this week now, didn't I?
You did.
It was a very interesting week. I want people, because we've got some people here that I've not seen before now joined the room. It's not always with disabilities that it's physical. Yes, to some degree it's physical with me and my walking is deteriorating. But it's about taking on those fears. When I met MJ, and she said to me, "Oh, we'll get you into university." What? University? No, I won't be able to do that. I got into university. I got my first certificate. I've started my next year. It is about being adaptable. But for me, I know what my weakness is. I don't always ask for help. I've been good last week. I did ask for help, and the help was there. And sometimes it's about us stepping back and taking things on. And life is always going to change. It's not going to stay the same. You start life as a baby, but you don't stay a baby. You go through those stages in life. We go through those stages as adults, as teenagers, as mums, as dads, as business people. But we also need to step up to the mark when things are not quite correct. It's not a question of expecting more from the world. It's about not allowing things to be hidden. I used to hide my dyslexia, and it is severe. I didn't even like putting pen to paper. My 3rd book is due out probably this week, beginning of next week. I've started the next one while I'm doing university as well. From somebody who thought they could never do that. That's change. I've been involved in several businesses, and they've always been physical. I was laughing when MJ and I were talking on Friday. I've never been an office girl. That's exactly what I'm doing now. So I had to adapt. I've had to change. Everything I knew about computers was self-taught. So I've been on a fast learning journey. So it could be physical, it could be mental. It can be in many ways. But we do need the adaptability. But we also need to remember to ask each other when we do need help. But also, the thing that MJ is the most important there is to have fun. Because if we don't have that fun in life, we forget to laugh. As much as I could kill that little monster of mine sometimes, she does make me smile and she does make me laugh. And like kids, they know when to push your buttons.
They do. I tell you what, they knew how to push my buttons last night. Wait till you see that performance.
They did.
Wait till you see that performance, Alexia. I hope you're going to be proud of me. I'm definitely setting the stage for your arrival in Cardiff. I think when I take you out in Cardiff, they'll just be like, "Oh no, there's another one." So yeah, we're going to be known.
I might even try staying on my feet, and then my leg might decide it's not keeping me up. And then I'll need a hand off the floor.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather you didn't fall at my feet, but if you got to.
Yeah, well, you and I would see the funny any side of it, but the rest of them wouldn't.
They'll get used to it.
Well, they're going to, whether they want to or not, aren't they?
I know. Well, this is what we're doing. Just shh. You don't have to tell them that. It's meant to be a secret, mate. Dear God, she's outing me on stage. I don't know. You can't rely on these older people.
No, definitely not. Get away with things the younger ones can't.
I know. I hear you do it. I love it. I love it. And I'm definitely learning from the best. I'm learning to move graciously into this middle age. I'm moving into this middle-aged malarkey quite beautifully now. I'm realizing that I can get away with pretty much anything I want. Well, you'll see on the video last night, I know I can get away with pretty much anything I want because I did. So go and watch it, and then you can learn from the best how to get away with pretty much anything you want.
Oh, I go and get it out there for the world to see.
You should. The Instagram's funny. Go and look at Main Stage Cardiff. You've probably never seen anything like it in your life. If you've never been to drag, you should come with me. You definitely should. It's an event.
I love drag.
So do I.
I really do.
Oh, it's cracking. So yeah, Sunday nights at Main Stage in Cardiff.
I've been to see the Lady Boys, and I took a blind. I took a totally blind friend with me.
Yeah.
And we'd sit. She could visualise a lot of what they were wearing, but other bits I'd sit quietly and describe.
That's what I like to hear. You're an audio describer. I never knew we had an audio describer in our midst, Alexia.
You do now.
Hidden talents. So there we are. We'll put you as an audio describer now of everything in front of you. The rich tapestry of life for all people that require it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. I didn't know you could do that. I'm looking forward to it. I shall be sending you some videos to audio describe shortly. I'm joking. Enough on a Monday morning, Mandy-Jayne. That's enough. Thank you. I agree with you. Flexibility, and you're a huge example of flexibility. You know, the fact that you weren't at university, you knew nothing about disabled students allowance. You certainly didn't understand what the Access to Work program was, and the idea that you could learn and earn and live concurrently just was beyond your understanding. Certainly as a human with disabilities, and of course, accessing the fact that you or accepting the fact that you had a disability, and that there were ways that didn't just prevent you, but there were ways in which we could facilitate you as a result of that, has meant that you've got so much more flexible. And I see you every day just pivoting, really. Okay, that bit now, and now that bit now, and now that bit now.
It is interesting just to show people how we can actually change some of what is going on in our body. Certain things we can't change.
No.
I can't change my age.
I'm only 5'3". I can't get taller. It's not right.
No, I'm only an inch taller than you. That's all. But
Yeah,
I probably, no, I hope I haven't shrunk a bit, but I probably have. I'm 5'4". So there's not much in it. But
we can't change that.
And weight training, but when I moved here, it got a bit busy, and I didn't do it so much. So I thought about it because as you know, we're not going to go into details, but I eventually ended up at hospital having all sorts of tests after getting myself into mischief on the floor. And I realised after we went to that conference with Pete in London that it was me that was stopping me from getting off the floor. So every morning now when I do my Tai Chi and my stretches, as usual, I get there on the floor. Each day it gets easier to get up. All right, I can't walk very far, but there are going to be times, as happened to you, falling, getting out the van, whatever, where you need to be able to get up. And it's getting easier. I can't say I can jump up like that guy did there, but I can get up quite quickly now. And I surprised myself. I only have one hand on the floor and the other hand just on my knee to balance me. I was up in seconds. Before it would have been, oh God, I hope I can get up this morning. Do I need to hold on to anything?
Flexibility.
How these things can change.
Absolutely. You don't realise it's over time, right? Incremental steps over time. You suddenly realise that it's just easier. When I could lift myself by my arms up and onto the side of the pool backwards. It was just a miracle, an absolute miracle. It was like I was free and able to I was flexible enough then to get myself in and out of the water. That was the most freeing experience that I've had since I was in hospital. It really is. That strength just gives you a confidence. For me, it gives me a confidence that I'm not going to be frightened and stuck somewhere. Thank you, Alexia. You're right. Well, guys, we are only 20 minutes away, 90 minutes away. We've got 2 people left on stage, so we're great. We're good for time. It's great to see everybody here. It's lovely to see Elmo here and Masana. Not seen you for a while. It's lovely to see you, Amanda. And Amar, I've not seen you in the room before, so please do join the house if you would like to. We're here on Monday mornings at 6 o'clock. At the moment, we are waiting for that clubhouse pivot, for that flexibility of the token gated community. But we're still here waiting with bated breath, waiting for the change, waiting to be flexible in this regard. And all the meanwhile, we are everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we are where else are we? We're on StreamYard, and we're on YouTube. So please, the only place we're not is on Instagram. And if you've been listening this morning, you'll have heard that I am on Instagram, not just on Instagram, but I'm also now on the main stage in Cardiff. Their Sunday night event last night had me chasing around a drag queen up and down the club in my wheelchair, or were they chasing me? I'm not sure, but we were both still standing. And if you want to see that, I'm going to post it probably today on my socials, probably an edited version. Maybe not the last bit where I did have a shot at the end, but you'll note that shot didn't have anything required in it, because that's how I made it. So we were able to stage that at main stage last night. So please go and see that. James, I've been flexible. I saw you've been to a bonfire night event somewhere. And you've just had a volunteer award. I'm just going to grass you up right there, because you've just had an award for being a volunteer at the food bank, haven't you, in the last year? Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Congrats, by the way. Congrats.
And flexibility. Well, if I'd have been told you need to come to an awards ceremony a couple of years ago, I'd have been like, well, I don't think I need to, really. You think I need to, but I don't really need to. Now, this Friday, I was like, because it's the rival rugby club, St Helens, I was like, I could quite easily go in the winning kit for the season, which is obviously not their kit. But I didn't. I think I just had my boxer shorts on, but with a few other items of clothing as well, thankfully, for all the people in the room. And it was a beautiful evening. They didn't serve pies, though, strangely enough. And it was interesting because they were really promoting that there was an accessible toilet there. I don't know if it was part of the guy's humour or just to point out that there was a toilet there that could be used. But it was a beautiful venue, loads of facilities, and really nice, warm, welcoming people there. When I'm usually go there to boo at those guys or give them stick from the terracing, but to be in the hospitality, it was beautiful what they put on that evening. And I was in bed for 10 o'clock, so but I couldn't find a kettle at the bar, so maybe they could. Maybe that's one area where they could step up the game, but that's not a criticism, because other drinks were available. Thankfully, I was driving, so I had the non-tap water kind of drink, and it was a beautiful evening. And then the firework display at the said named winning rugby club on the Saturday evening, and of course England had won 3 series whitewash against Tonga. So obviously the night before I had a bit more decorum and didn't stick my tongue out, even though the ex-St Helens coach was the Tonga coach. So it's quite interesting how the two sides were lining up. But I was mindful that I didn't want to tread on any toes, because it's just nice to be thanked for the good work that I've been doing, because I've been working really hard this last year on my anxiety and other problems that this depression I've got lands me with every day. But I just journal it all so I understand my emotions better, so I can move forward. And I'm sure that them journals will come in very handy in the future for any other problems I see in the mirror, in the rearview mirror. And I'm sure that I can work out where I go next. But yeah, I'm really quite pleased with this award. So I'll be down there this morning serving out to the local community, and then once I've done that, I think I'll treat myself to an afternoon in gym, because I would normally start Monday mornings in the gym, but I've changed it out a bit this week a little bit.
Nice.
And I think I've got a better system now for November, with it being darker mornings.
Yep.
And I wanted to get the right start on a Monday. I know we're going to start getting icy mornings soon,
There you
so
go.
I'm more wary of just cycling to the gym when the traffic's a bit quieter and in between the school run hours, like I normally do, and just being wise with it. And then obviously I've got my volunteering up at the cycling workshop, which looks like that might have to have a little bit of flexibility and a shuffle over the next few weeks.
Tweaking.
But, yeah,
I find it.
Work.
I find it really difficult. I'll be honest with you, James, and I don't know about you. I think I sense a similarity in that when I get a routine, I like it. I like streaks, a bit like Kate Caruth. I like, not. I don't mean the ones without my clothes, by the way. When you're on about your boxer shorts, I mean the streaks where we do things again and again and again and again. And then when it comes to shifting, tweaking, evolving that routine, I find that struggle between the wanting to maintain what I've created and then wanting to create something new, and that gap between those two, that bit where I have to shift, that's my flexibility muscle, and I find that it grows. So being able to pivot to the next decision or the next move is much easier. But I definitely had a prevalence for wanting to stick with the same thing. So I'm having to grow that muscle, that flexible bone, really, that flexible muscle to be able to shift those things. And it's lovely to be able to hear from other people saying, well, the nights are drawing in, etc. The mornings are earlier, so I'm going to shift my routine. It makes me feel more comfortable when other people are shifting their routine, because it's easier when there's more than one of you, when you're not on your own, because it does feel, when I let go of something, that sometimes I'm falling into a kind of an anxiety crevasse, off I go into a big hole because I've suddenly changed something. So I'm very grateful to see your ability to shift and pivot and alter and flex across these years. And when you do that, it's the reason that I coach, okay? And I'm going to be really honest here. For those people that are coaching and say that they don't do it to win, they're just not telling the truth, I don't believe, because coaching for me is a symbiosis. It's a two-way street. So when I am coaching, when I'm teaching, when I'm facilitating, I am learning all of the time from my mentees, from myself, from the situation, and from their flexibility. So your resilience, James, helps me feel more capable every single day, and your success is my success. I can only celebrate the amount of success that you're about to have in this moment. And I also am grateful to hear that you went to that presentation, because when I was given the Mayor's Award in Scarborough, I didn't go because I was too uncomfortable to be able to do what I did last night, certainly stone cold sober, and I wouldn't have been drinking at such an event. So I chose not to go. And actually, I chose not to celebrate the enormous efforts that I'd gone to for the community. And in that regard, perhaps I didn't give that community what they deserved, which was the recognition that they wanted to give me, and the thanks, and the opportunity to say how grateful they were. And that's something that I don't regret, but which I will change in the future, because celebration is part of the process, and we must celebrate all of our wins. And it's very easy for me to trudge on regardless, and then not celebrate the wins that we come to. And you've had plenty this year, really great wins. And I couldn't be more grateful, James, to see your journey out loud and proud alongside mine, because I do think it's in that mess in the middle that we help people, all of us, understand that we're all just the same, rubbing on the same, all trying to find the same flex, all trying to get through the same routine changes, all trying to just make our way in the world in a way that's comfortable and in our best interests. So yeah, flexibility for me is key. It is only 8 minutes to us running over to LinkedIn, but that's perfect. We've got one person left on the stage, last but not least. It is due on this Monday, the 6th of November, before we go over to learn how it is we can be like Nelson Mandela. How are you this morning, Jew? Are you like Nelson Mandela? Do you think he was flexible? That's a lot of questions for Monday morning, isn't it?
It
was all at once.
Confused me slightly.
Well, just share what you like. Got a couple of minutes. The floor is yours.
No, I'm not like Nelson Mandela. I'm a bit white.
Yeah. What about flexible?
I used to be incredibly flexible and could bend my body double. But
hyperflexive, maybe.
I'm not anymore. Somebody put me in a bloody wheelchair.
And what about your mental flexibility? Do you think having to go into a wheelchair has made you more flexible, emotionally, situationally? Do you think you have to adapt flexibly to situations, or do you just not bother?
It makes me more flexible every single day I get in it, which isn't at all at the moment.
No, you're not very well, are you? You're a bit stuck in bed at the moment, aren't you, Jew?
I am.
You've had to be flexible in that regard, haven't you?
Very.
But you remain cheerful. I mean, I realise we have the odd whinging 15 minutes, which is fine. We both do that. But in the main, you remain buoyant, don't you? And just keep going.
I try to.
I think you do. And your eye gaze is less than 6 months away from what I remember. Do you reckon? There we are. So we've got hope, haven't we? But you're going to have to be flexible for that too, aren't you? Because it's a whole new system. I'm proud of you that you're even willing to think about it.
That's what I do it for.
Good. And so you should. I hope you're proud of yourself, because that's also why you need to be doing it. So you have all been in MJ's house. We've been talking about the art of flexibility, and we've only got 5 minutes to go. We're going to all jump over to LinkedIn. I'm sure Pete will be ready, plugging his cables in and getting ready for LinkedIn. So if you want to go over to Mindset Monday, that's going to go on at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock? Yes, 7 o'clock, 5 minutes time. So I've been Mandy-Jayne, and you've been talking about the art of flexibility. If you'd like to find out what else went on today, go and listen on replays. It's everywhere. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on LinkedIn, it's on StreamYard, it's on YouTube. We are literally flooding the airways with an MJ. It's also now main stage in Cardiff, I'm afraid. So if you don't know what that is, go and look on Instagram, Main Stage Cardiff, and you will see last night a video of me. And I am still standing. I'm MJ. I have been in MJ's house, and we are here on a Monday morning at 6 o'clock. We're also everywhere else. And if you want to understand the art of flexibility, go and play this on replay, when you will hear not only what we've done, but what everybody else on this stage has done to get flexible. I'm seeing some messages regarding all the other platforms, and I will be back to you all. Thank you for all your messages. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for all the love and the connection on the back channels. It is fantastic. You know, I didn't think for a second that I'd ever have following like I have, but it's wonderful that everybody feels that we're sharing something important here. I believe we have. And I believe we do, and I believe we will in the future. I believe we're sharing authenticity and the art of getting flexible and what we need in society, which is to connect the dots. Let's connect the dots together on this Monday and go over to LinkedIn and connect some more and see how we can become like Nelson Mandela. I've been Mandy-Jayne. If you want to hit the click the link at the top and donate to the Disabled Entrepreneurs Club, and you'd like to see that disabled entrepreneur granted after Christmas and see what we're going to do with that, then please join in and make the difference and be the difference to make the difference. Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic, fantabulous Monday. And I will see you next Saturday and next Monday here on Clubhouse on Monday and on Saturdays on LinkedIn. And you never know where else I might pop up. So keep your eyes open. It's all changed. We've got to be flexible. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. See you over in LinkedIn. You got 3 minutes for a wee. Bye.